Hi everyone and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
So Elsie, we've spent a lot of time in front of this camera, in front of classes. How do you feel about being in front of audiences?
Actually, I used to be really nervous and anxious about speaking to a large group of audience.
Okay, how did you get used to it or when?
But when I was being trained to be a teacher in teachers college, I had to speak in front of professors and my classmates all the time.
Okay.
So I think I conquered that.
For me, it was when I was about 15, 16 at school. I started getting involved in the school drama classes and clubs, and I realized that I like being in front of an audience. I like all that attention. It's almost like energy that I get from them and then can turn it into something I do.
Oh, so you like all the eyes on you.
I do. I just love being the center of attention, sadly. It's not always helpful sometimes. Gets me in trouble sometimes. But it's a useful thing to have if you want to give a presentation. Now, a lot of people really hate this. They think, oh, I can't do it. I can't stand up in front of a class. But the truth is, anyone can do it. And there are small tricks, different things you can do that even if you're nervous, you will still be able to give a good talk. And that's what we're going to look at today. Let's get reading.
Reading. Producing perfect presentations. The idea of giving a presentation often makes people feel anxious. Fear not. Here are some handy tips that will help you pull it off. Let's begin with body language. Do face your audience. If you turn toward the screen, your voice might not reach the people at the back of the room. Do make eye contact. Do this naturally and make eye contact with everyone in your audience. Do use hand gestures and move around a little. This makes your presentation feel more dynamic. Don't go crazy though. Too much movement is distracting. Go with whatever feels natural, and don't plan your gestures in advance. Don't put your hands in your pockets. This looks too casual, and it stops you from using hand gestures. Don't cross your arms or your legs, or touch your hair. These body language clues show people you're afraid or uncomfortable. Don't read your whole speech from a paper. This stops you from projecting your voice and making eye contact. It will also sound unnatural. Just have some brief notes to refer to.
So we introduced the article with the same idea that we just talked about. The idea of giving a presentation often makes people feel anxious. So this is all about presentations, but what is a presentation? Well, basically it's talking in front of a group. You're showing them things, you're telling them about something, you're giving them some new information and trying to make them understand it or get excited by it or at least get an idea for what you're talking about. It could be anything from like talking in front of a meeting to talking in front of a class, anything like that.
没错，所以呢 presentation 这个名词代表就是报告或是演讲，那搭配的动词是 give， 所以我们说 give a presentation. So do you feel anxious when you need to give a presentation?
Nope, I look forward to it. But what does anxious mean? Well, it's nervous. If you're anxious, there's something that's going to happen and you don't know what the result will be, but you're worried the result will be something bad. You're thinking, oh, how could this go wrong? Oh no, what's going to happen? I don't think I can do this well. Oh, what if I get the result back and it's disappointing? And you can't stop thinking about it and it stops you from sleeping. That is being anxious. You could be anxious about a big exam, for example. And here's another one. Tanya is anxious about her job interview. She really wants to get the job.
Anxious 这个形容词呢，代表焦虑的、不安的。那如果我们 feel anxious or be anxious about something， 那就是对某事感到焦虑不安。像是例句里面 Tanya 她对工作面试感到紧张焦虑。那课文问我们，当你要报告或演讲的时候，你会感到焦虑吗？ Do you feel anxious?
Okay, well, some people do, a lot of people do, but the article says, fear not.Fear not is a phrase that just means don't worry.
OK, 所以课文叫我们呢 fear not, 也就是不用担心，别害怕。And then the article says, here are some handy tips that will help you pull it off.
That's right. Let's look at the word handy first. Handy means useful, but it's useful in a practical way. Handy pieces of advice are things you can actually use. Handy cooking tips.How to cook something, how to cut something, what the ingredients are for a particular dish. So it's something you can really do rather than just an idea to think about. For example, my mum gave me some handy ideas for preparing a large family dinner.Handy
也就是有用的这个形容词，那我们可以用 useful 来代替。So when something comes in handy， 代表这个东西呢能够派上用场。所以我们可以说 take the bug spray with you， 带上这个防虫喷雾 ，it might come in handy， 它可能会派上用场。And here, these tips will help you pull it off. 这个 it 指的是你的报告、演讲。What about the phrase pull off?
Well, if you pull something off, then you complete this particular thing successfully. You're kind of implying that it's going to be a little difficult, a little challenging, but you go, it was tough, but I pulled it off. I completed it, I got through it, and I did a good job with it.
所以呢 pull something off 代表的是成功达成某件困难的事。So with these handy tips, we might be able to give a great presentation.
Yeah, or even just a good one. You won't make too many mistakes. You'll feel like, okay, that wasn't so bad. So the article says, let's begin with body language. So not even talking, just the things you do with yourself.
所以 body language 肢体语言是很重要的。And then the article says, do face your audience.
Absolutely right. You've got to look at the people. Because if you turn toward the screen, like around here, your voice might not reach the people at the back of the room. They won't hear you. Your voice will get trapped on the wall or on your screen. It won't go anywhere. People can't see your face.It's just not a good way to present. Don't turn your back on the audience.
And it's not polite either, right?
Exactly.
所以面对观众呢是很重要的。如果你一直看荧幕，或是呢看别的地方，那你的声音可能就没有办法传送到后面去。这里的动词 reach 代表的是到达，所以声音没办法到达后方。那再来呢，课文告诉我们 do make eye contact， 这个是要有眼神接触。
Right, and do this naturally and make eye contact with everyone in your audience. Now, sometimes you might see maybe one or two people at the front, they seem to be interested, and so you think, if I look at them, I'll feel confident. They will start to feel, why is he looking at me? What's going on? They feel uncomfortable.
没错。
So you need to look at everybody. Look around the room, make eye contact with everybody.But just do it in a natural way. Don't start at one end and go along the line making eye contact like that. That's not natural. Do it in a natural way as you're speaking.
所以呢，我们要有自然的眼神接触，注意要是自然的不要是很刻意的那一种。而且呢，要和观众席的每个人做眼神接触。再来呢，我们还有一个要点就是 do use hand gestures and move around a little.
So yes, you should definitely use hand gestures. And I'm doing it right now because a gesture is a movement of part of the body, especially the hand or the head, to express an idea or a meaning or a feeling or an intention. So presentation hand gestures usually means, look, here's an idea, I'm giving it to you. I'm going to point at you. What does that mean, that gesture? It could mean I'm talking to you, I'm angry with you, I want you to listen. It could mean anything like that. Different hand gestures have different meanings. Here's an important piece of advice. Don't turn the V finger gesture around in the UK. You'll make people angry. So this way around good, the other way around no.
Okay, I'll remember that. Gesture 呢代表的是姿势或是手势，所以在报告的时候呢 use hand gestures， 你使用手势做一些移动，会帮助你的报告演讲进行得更顺利哦。
Right, and if you can move around a bit with your feet, do so. Sometimes you just have to stay in one place, okay? In that case, don't move around. But if you've got a little area, then move. You can turn, take a step, forwards and backwards. The article explains why. It says, this, making hand gestures, moving around, this makes your presentation feel more dynamic. And in this sentence, the word dynamic means full of energy, full of life and new ideas, positive in attitude. So if you're moving a little bit here, talking with your hands, just looking around, changing your body, the people watching your presentation will think, okay, this person's excited, they're positive, they're lively, they're giving me some energy. I think I'll listen. But if someone's just standing like this and talking and telling you what's going on, they will look very nervous and they will not look natural.
And the audience might fall asleep.
Exactly. They'll think that person is terrified. I don't want to listen to their ideas.
Right. 所以呢，怎么样让你的演讲报告更加的活泼，充满活力？这些手势是很重要的。那 dynamic 这个形容词呢，就是活泼的、充满活力的。课文说到呢，用手势来让你的 presentation 更充满活力。那 dynamic 这个字也可以用来形容人哦。A dynamic person 那就是一个 energetic person， 充满活力的人。
Okay, so yeah, use some gestures, but as the article says, don't go crazy though. Don't go talking like this, like you're in some kind of kung fu fight, and don't run around the stage. As the article says, too much movement is distracting.
Right, so don't go crazy. 形容词 crazy 我们学过是疯狂的，这边代表就是太超过、过多的手势、过多的移动，可能会让这个观众们觉得非常的 distracting. What does that mean?
Well, in this case, distracting is an adjective and it means something that prevents people from concentrating. It removes people's attention. So if they're watching you as you do kind of crazy hand movements, they won't listen to you. You'll break their concentration. If you're working and there's a loud noise, you go, oh, this is really distracting. I can't concentrate.
Distracting 这个形容词呢，代表使人分心的，所以文章提醒我们，手势也不要过多，不然会容易让人家分心的。
Okay, so how do you kind of find that balance between a few hand gestures and going too much? Well, the article says, go with whatever feels natural and don't plan your gestures in advance. Okay, I'll talk about that in just a moment.
今天的 Language in Focus 我们要说到的是复合关系代名词引导名词子句的用法。那复合关系代名词呢，有 whatever, whoever, whichever 等等的字，它是由疑问词加上字尾的 ever 形成的，兼具呢先行词跟关系代名词的作用哦，可以引导名词子句做主词、受词或补语，表示无论任何。那在子句中做主词的用法呢，给同学们一个例句 Whoever broke the window needs to pay for it 代表无论谁打破窗户都要赔偿的。那在子句中做受词就像是我们课文用的 Go with whatever feels natural and don't plan your gestures in advance 也就是呢任何自然的手势都是可以的，也不需要事先特别设定你要在哪个时候做手势。那再来呢 whichever 和 whatever 也能够做限定词修饰后方的名词，像是这样的句子 You can order whatever foods you like, my treat 你可以点任何你喜欢的食物，我请客。
So we said don't plan your gestures in advance. The phrase in advance means before something happens. So what this means is when you're rehearsing, you're practicing your presentation, don't think to yourself, on these words, I'm going to do this movement. On this word, I will point like this. I've seen people do this in presentations. It looks fake. It does not look natural. And I can tell from sitting there, you've planned that, you're not being natural, you're not in the moment. And if you plan it, you won't look as kind of natural and smooth as if you just do whatever feels right at the time.
所以不要事先预先的去写下你到哪里要做一些手势。那 in advance 这个片语呢，代表就是事先、预先。给同学们一个例句哦。Let me know in advance if you can't come to the meeting. 如果你没办法来开会，让我先知道。
Okay, so we've looked at a few do's. Now it's time for some don'ts. Don't put your hands in your pockets. Don't do a presentation like that.
Who would do a presentation like this? 不要把手放在口袋里面，这个看起来观感很不好嘛，对不对？ And then the article says, this looks too casual and it stops you from using hand gestures. 对啊，手在里面要怎么样比手势呢？
Exactly. So the word casual means relaxed. You are at ease. You're not in a formal situation like a job interview or something. Casual could talk about clothes, like t-shirts and jeans are casual. A casual occasion could just be meeting a friend for a coffee shop drink instead of going out for a fancy meal where you wear nice clothes. Here, we're talking about having a casual attitude. If you've got a casual attitude, you're giving people the impression, I don't care. I'm not too worried. This isn't important. You're not important. And that's not good during a presentation. You may see people with one hand in their pocket doing a presentation, TED Talk, something like that. One hand is maybe okay if you take it out and move it and then put it back in, because maybe then you want to look a little casual, a little relaxed. It depends what kind of talk you're giving. But two hands in the pockets like this, that is too casual. Here's another example sentence. The student has a rather casual attitude toward his work and often gets bad grades.
Casual 这个形容词呢，代表随性的、漫不经心的。所以呢 ，somebody has a casual attitude toward something， 那就是对某事有不在意、漫不经心的态度。所以例句当中说的就是学生对学校的课业态度随性不在乎。那另外呢 ，casual 也可以用来形容衣服哦，像是呢 casual clothes， 那就是轻便随性的衣服。课文这边呢，要告诉我们的是，把手放在口袋可能会太随性了点 ，and it stops you from using hand gestures.
That's right. Here's just a phrase to stop something from and then a V-I-N-G form of a verb. It just means to prevent this thing from taking place. Stop somebody from walking, stop someone from going, and so on.
也就是阻止某人做某件事情，像是 Your parents might stop you from using your phone. 他们可能会阻止你去使用你的手机。
Right. Now, sometimes that hand in the pocket thing does have a use. Think of somebody who's like the boss of a company, the CEO. Now, if they walk around with one hand in their pocket and a microphone, they're saying, don't think of me as a CEO. I'm just a regular guy. We're having a talk. And that puts him on the same level as the audience, so they don't feel, oh, this is the boss talking. It's like we're just having a chat. So in that case, it's good. But if you're in class, you probably want to not put your hands in your pockets. And here's another thing not to do. Don't cross your arms or your legs or touch your hair. Now, I've got short hair, so maybe you can demonstrate the hair touching a bit. Okay, don't do these things. These body language clues show people you're afraid or uncomfortable. The arms crossed is saying, don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Same with the legs. Don't look at me. I want to hide myself. And the touching the hair, I mean, your hair is soft. It feels nice, right?
Yeah.
So you're going, I want comfort. I'm scared. I want to feel comfortable. So that's why people do it, and it's what you shouldn't do. Because all of these things are clues about how you really feel. A clue is some kind of information, a detail, a fact that helps you understand something, it reveals something, or it solves a problem. Here we're talking about revealing something. You're trying to sound confident, but your body language gives clues that you're not. Here's an example. The way the man talked was a clue that he was from the north of the country.
好啦，这边我们看到 clue 名词代表线索、迹象，这些肢体语言都会透露出你在害怕或是觉得不自在的迹象跟线索。那我们这边看到一个形容词 uncomfortable， 代表尴尬的、不自在的、不舒服的。相反字把字首的 un 拿掉就可以了。所以你会发现字首 un 代表的有不或是非点点点，可以跟形容词、副词或是动词连用。像是有个字 common 普遍的、常见的 uncommon 那就是不普遍的、不常见的。
Right, and here's another don't. Don't read your whole speech from a paper.Don't put it up in front of your face and this is what it says and I'm going to read this line and this line and this line and this line. No, don't do that. But before we explain why, what is a speech? A speech is a planned and prepared talk that you give on a particular occasion. You would write it or someone would write it for you, and on this day, at this time, maybe on this TV show, you would give that speech.For example, the president gave a speech on TV on Double 10 Day.
Speech 这个名词呢，代表演说、致辞，那搭配的动词是 give a speech， 发表演说。所以不要从头到尾都读你的演讲稿。
Exactly. As the article says, this stops you from projecting your voice and making eye contact.Project 这个动词呢，搭配 your voice 代表怎么样？把你的声音投射出去，也就是说要说得清楚、大声。所以你从头到尾如果用读的，声音就没有办法投射出去，你也没有办法做眼神接触。And then the article says it will also sound unnatural. Unnatural 就是不自然的、不和谐的、造作的。 Exactly. If you want to just say every word that's on the paper, why do a presentation? Just give out your piece of paper. Make copies. People are there to listen to you, not to read a speech. The article says, just have some brief notes to refer to. And here, refer to means to look at something, a book, a map, a piece of paper. You look at this thing for information. So maybe you've got a small card with just a few main points of your speech. You can quickly look to see what you're going to talk about next, and then move on and don't look at it again.
没错 ，refer to something 代表查看、参考，你只要有一些简单的笔记来参考就好。
Okay, now we do have some more tomorrow about other things to do with presentations, but that's the body language bit done. Let's now go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So our chat question is something that I've been asked a lot because people say, okay, body language, I get that. The stuff we're going to talk about tomorrow, I get that. But I still feel nervous. So what are some ways to calm yourself down before a presentation?
Maybe we can stretch a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
Walk around.
Yes.
Drink some warm water. Or just take a few deep breaths.
Yeah, I would do all of those. I'd maybe practice projecting my voice a bit. Just warm up my voice. Because I've done acting, I know some theatre voice warm-ups that I will do to make sure my voice doesn't die. And just doing those exercises calms me down, gets me in the right mood. Another thing I often do is I take 5 minutes, I sit down somewhere quiet, put on a song that I really love, a song that I want to get up and dance to, a song that makes me happy. Listen to that song for 3 to 5 minutes. I'll be in a good mood after listening to one of my favorite, exciting songs. I'm ready to go.
Wow. I'll try that next time.
But other than that, just remember that even the most confident, experienced speakers will still get nervous before a big talk. What they do is they know how to turn that nervous energy into presentation energy. So it's not about not feeling nervous or not feeling anxious. It's about learning how to use it. That's what you need to try and do. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening and watching, but join us again tomorrow for some more on how to give a good presentation. See you then. Bye for now.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Anxious. Even though Sally has studied hard for the exam, she still feels anxious about it. Handy. The book you gave me was really handy. It taught me a lot about growing vegetables. Gesture. James got in trouble at school because he made a rude hand gesture at another student. Casual. The teacher was upset with Mike's casual attitude toward his poor test scores. Clue. Joanna carefully watched Billy's face for any clue about what he was feeling. Speech. Maggie fell asleep during the teacher's speech because he was talking for too long.
智慧小补帖
Presentation. Dynamic. Distracting. Refer to something.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net